Welcome. Today I'm going to cover the climate report for the United States for the period from January through March 2015, and specifically for the March period that NOAA has just released. There's also some very interesting climate news that I'd like to cover today. NOAA's climate report for March 2015 put March at the 12th warmest March on record for the continental United States. It was 4 degrees Fahrenheit above the 20th century average. The 7 western states had record warmest period from January to March. Florida had the 4th warmest March on record. Alaska had the 8th warmest March on record. New York and Vermont had the coldest January through March period in 90 years. We had below average precipitation, and the Sierras and the Cascades was the lowest snowpack on record. Anchorage only had 0.2 inches of snow in March, and South Dakota had the driest January through March period on record. This is the map for the continental United States, showing the temperature rankings. You can see the western states and Florida were very much above average temperatures, and the 4 states, Connecticut, Massachusetts, New Hampshire and Maine, all had much below average temperatures. This is the precipitation map. You can see that Texas and Arkansas had above average precipitation, while basically the northern tier states had below average precipitation. This is the coverage as of the 31st of March of snow and ice in the continental United States and Canada. You can see it's there's still quite a lot of snow coverage in the northeastern US. The snowpack shortage in the west is shown here by the red dots, which indicate areas that have less than 25% of the normal snowpack, and in some cases much less than that. This is very worrying for the California drought, because they depend on the melting of the snowpack for their water throughout the summer. One way of determining whether an area is warming or cooling is to compare the number of high temperature and low temperature records. If there are more high temperature records set in a period, then there's a warming trend. If there are more low temperature records set, then there's a cooling trend. Well, let's see what happened for the continental United States. Over the last year, there have been 51,000 high temperature daily records set, compared with only 46,000 low temperature records set. Now that's a distinct warming trend. It's even more disparate when you look at the monthly records, which are much more hard to set. There's over 2,000 high temperature records with only 1,300 low temperature records. So this indicates that even for the US there's been a general warming trend over the last year. So in the news there's some very disturbing trends in that some states are now issuing gag orders to their employees to talk about global warming. Florida and Wisconsin have banned public employees from mentioning global warming, climate change, sea level rise and other such climate terms. One who did in Florida was suspended for psychiatric evaluation. That's rather reminiscent of Stalinism, I think. North Carolina and Virginia have voted to ban their public employees from studying the effect of sea level rise on their coasts. And now the Conservative government in Canada seems to be following suit. On the positive side, there's a new negative carbon process being developed at the University of Arizona. Concrete produces over 800,000 tons of CO2 to produce 1 million tons of concrete, and worldwide 4 billion tons of concrete are produced each year. So this produces a lot of CO2, actually about 5% of human emissions. A new US process that combines iron waste, recycled glass and CO2 produces a material that's 5 times stronger than normal concrete, called ferroc. It's basically iron carbonate. So it would absorb something like 380,000 tons of carbon dioxide to produce 1 million tons of ferroc. That's a net lowering of emissions for every million tons of building material of over 1 million tons of carbon dioxide. According to a study from Princeton, if you want to find out what caused the California drought, it's the winds. Strong east winds flow across the Pacific Ocean, pushing warm water to the west, and also causes the warm water to go deep under the ocean. This creates dry conditions in the western US because the water there is cooler and evaporates less water into the air and produces less rain. This also explains, at least in part, the so-called hiatus in global warming. A disturbing trend is the US Congress has cut hurricane research. According to the Washington Post, NOAA announced that its hurricane forecasting funding to be cut from $12 million per year to $4 million per year. Hurricanes make up 80% of the major natural disasters costs in the US, averaging about $15 billion for a typical landfall. Katrina, for example, was $45 billion, and that's only the insured damage, not the total damage. Does it make any sense cutting $8 million in those circumstances to you? I don't think so. The NOAA Global Climate Report is due out soon, and so when that comes out, I'll put another climate update in the near future. Thanks for watching. Bye.